Welcome, it's Denome, and welcome to this crypto update. Now, before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, because that obviously helps me in the algorithms. But now, let's get into the video. Now, first things to note is that we have actually broken through this uh, downward trend line here. And this is obviously what we like to see, but right now, as you can see, we are actually approaching another danger zone at the moment. And when we actually hop over immediately to Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that we're essentially just tagging this liquidation zone here as well. So if we actually blast through it, I would actually expect a pullback, essentially back to this trend line breakout level. So 111,500 is essentially where I think price will be going in the short term. But from there, there's a good chance that we actually head higher afterwards. Now, I want to read a comment that was given in my Discord group in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to highlight that some altcoins are actually starting to pop off. So I mentioned Virtuals protocol in a video, I think about 3 weeks ago before the massive liquidation event. This is a coin that I actually was invested in. It did not drop dramatically in the liquidation event, so I kept on holding on to this bad boy, and now it actually has done 2x already. So this is a protocol you probably want to take a look at, because so many meme coins, altcoins are currently basically coming out of this virtuals protocol. It essentially allows people and companies to create AI agents. So that is what virtuals is for, and now it's obviously doing quite well. But now, before I continue on my usual fundamentals, I do want to read this comment from the Discord group. So Globen here is saying that when the sentiment of denome matches the sentiment of the market, you know we are close to the local bottom, with a laughing face. Now, I always appreciate when people leave comments like this, because it makes me also question my personal bias and also my own emotions. And he had a very compelling case why this would actually be the local bottom. So he says Trump is pushing hard to release CPI data tomorrow despite it being government shutdown. Hopefully he knows that inflation is flat or down. We're closing in on the levels where big moves are typical: 50-week moving average, 100k Bitcoin price, etc. I think some of the manipulation plus whale activity is good for pushing the market back for a better backdrop for the markets. Alt season is better with rate cuts and risk appetite and inclusion of retail. Now that we have seen gold and S&P have a good run, we have more liquidity for risk appetite and rotation. November and December has an average of 8% increase for Nasdaq and more risk on assets. And then this is an important note here. Russell 2000 is retesting its breakout of the new all-time high this week, which means more risk on. So what is Russell 2000? It's actually the index for risk on stocks. So when that is basically pushing for new all-time highs, it is a signal that investors might be taking more risk than usually. So even though I went a little bit bearish, maybe in my tone, and obviously I got the liquidation events and so on and so forth, I still said that it's likely that we would break this trend line and visit the liquidation prices as well. We did not get a pushback to the 103k price level, but we had this breakout. And what I actually did over the weekend, when we had that push to out of this structure, I said, all right, let's see what's going to happen. I updated that we're essentially just trying to push through it. And then immediately as we were breaking through, I shared this let's go. So we're essentially trying to get a breakout of this structure here. And all in all, there's just a lot of good discussions here. There have been some coins that people have found success with, like Kazuya, he's always sharing some good ideas on the market, and he has very good trades overall in the group as well. So if you are not part of the Discord yet, consider actually joining here, because there's a lot of good information here and some good trade opportunities pop off every now and then. Anyway, now let's get back to my usual analysis and then take it from there. So going to bitcointreasuries.net, from my last update, there's one more entity currently holding Bitcoin in their treasury, but the amount of Bitcoin in treasuries and ETFs is still the same as it was in my previous update. So fundamentally speaking, this is not exactly great, because what we want to obviously see is that institutions keep on accumulating Bitcoin. But right now we have been in this plateau for over a week now already. So fundamentally, this is not a great. That's another reason why I'm currently expecting a pullback to the downside before potentially heading for higher prices. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin and crypto on Google Trends, if there's anything that's signaling that retail are coming back. Not at the moment yet. Very low interest in Bitcoin and crypto on Google Trends. That is interesting. And then fundamentally, when we go and take a look at sentiment.net, here, let me just refresh this page to get the latest information. So what was interesting here is that in the short term, we had this move to the upside here. Then over the weekend, I actually noticed that somebody had started taking Bitcoin out of exchanges once again. So this line here signals how much Bitcoin is currently held in exchanges and how much is held outside exchanges. When this is going down, it means that people are taking Bitcoin out of exchanges and depositing it into their own wallets. So I saw that somebody was actually taking Bitcoin out. So that was another decent signal on sentiment. Then for stablecoin, you can see that the market cap is barely growing. So I would like to see a bump to the upside here on the stablecoin market cap, but it is what it is. And right now, as we are pushing for these highs here, before the US markets open on Monday, we have seen essentially less and less movements from old whales, at least until this moment in time. Maybe by tomorrow we see another spike when Monday whales will be taking profits, as I expect they will. But overall, here on this chart, what we can see is how much of Bitcoin are in different brackets sizes, in different wallets that have different wallet sizes. So what I usually track is this 100 to 1000 Bitcoin holding wallets, because these are usually your institutional holders, and they have been actually acquiring Bitcoin throughout this dump, even though not all of it is tracked on a bitcointreasuries.net. But this is a nice signal. Another interesting point here to look at is when we take a look at the total amount of holders of Bitcoin. I guess this would signal retail investor interest, because as you can see at these lows, this has continued to increase. And this is currently showing that there are now 57.24 million wallets that have some amounts of Bitcoin inside those wallets. So this does not necessarily mean that all of these are retail wallets, but I kind of use that as a proxy to see how many wallets there are that have at least some amount of Bitcoin inside them. Usually this is going flat, but when it's growing, it's kind of showing some kind of a increasing in demand. Nothing it's just there on the chart. I think it's interesting to see that at these lows it started to increase once again after being plateaued here for a while. Then let's head over to short-term fundamentals. We already looked at the liquidation heat map, but here when we take a look at the order book, spot order book depth, This is important because it shows what's the dominance between limit buy and limit sell orders on the order books of exchanges. And right now, as you can see, the sell pressure is piling on. Another reason why I am in the short term expecting a pullback to the downside. So right now on the spot order books, there's $120 million more limit sell orders within a 3% price move than there are limit buy orders. So I would like to see a pullback, some amount of green entering these charts, and that would likely be the low. The same is true also on the futures order books. So currently both on the spot and the futures markets, both sides are currently on the sell side. So the only way that the prices would continue to go higher is if people hit that market buy button and just buy Bitcoin off that way. But right now, limit order books are filled with sell orders. So that's essentially the reasons why I'm currently expecting a pullback to the downside. So this is essentially my analysis for today. Is that we're nearing the peak of this current price move here. Maybe we take out the liquidations all the way up here, then have that pullback to the downside, or we just go downside directly from here. Personally, I would prefer that we do not go take out this liquidation zone yet, because that means that it will become stronger. So when we have that pullback to the downside, then we actually have more momentum to push through to the upside. Now there are some updates in Link, for example. A lot of Link token is currently being taken off exchanges, so that is interesting as of now. So Link might be starting to make some moves. Finally, it's been a little bit lackluster on the second half of this year, but that could start making some moves, and maybe some other altcoins as well. But overall, there's a lot of appetite for risk right now. The Russell 2000 breaking new all-time highs is probably the main driver for the price moves, and maybe the fact that gold price is starting to have a pullback that is maybe giving some chance for riskier assets to shine for a while. But right now, when we take a look at gold, by the way, this is now essentially entering into bear market territory. So if you are holding gold, I would expect that some people seeing this chart here on gold will start to take out their long positions on that asset. Now, it doesn't mean that gold will just go directly down. What I expect is that we go down and then up, maybe something like this, and then we break for new all-time highs. So I'm not expecting a huge crash in the price of gold, but maybe the capital will start to seek something better than or something different than gold finally, and that could be good for crypto. So that's essentially my bullish case here. And what I've said about the bearish scenario, again, if we fall below this trend line here, that is when I will be flipping quite bearish on Bitcoin and on crypto markets. So as long as we are above that, then I'm quite happy to take out these different plays for now. But that essentially is the full update I had for you guys today. So thanks for watching this video. Consider liking the video if you liked some of the things I had to say, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.